Okei, hei. Kiitos Rasmus tuosta introsta. Mä oon tosiaan Minh-Hai ja ajattelin itse asiassa tästä lähtien nyt vaihtaa kielen englanniksi, niin säästytte semmoiselta Finglishiltä tässä esityksessä. Mutta okay, so let's switch on to English. So really, I'm really glad and thrilled to have the opportunity today to be in this Mimit called event. So my name is Minh-Hai Nguyen. I work as business designer and customer engagement lead at IBM iX. And today I'm going to talk about power of diversity in designing and building digital services. I'll go through a bit on my story and journey, how I ended up in IT and why I've stayed here so long. And also, I also tell about how diversity shows up in our projects. So let's get started. My teachers from high school probably would kill me from this kind of opening, but let's do it anyway. So once upon a time, like a few decades ago, there was this little girl who really loved playing around with Legos, could spend kind of hours and hours playing alone with her kind of a Lego blocks. And at that point of time, there wasn't any Lego friends yet. So she also built on Lego Technic, trucks, helicopters, whatnot. When the school started, actually she loved maths. It was one of her favorite subjects. And as a kid, she spent a lot of time with her dad, working with puzzles, riddles, thinking of different kind of stuff. And her dad actually even took some of the riddles and problems from Vietnamese kind of school books to play around with. Later on, in the 90s, her dad got a computer. And she had a deal with her dad to actually, if she would help him translate some of the Vietnamese stories for kids into Finnish and vice versa, she could get playtime with the new computer. And of course, she thought it was an awesome deal. So already in elementary school, she gave commands to computers and started playing around. And for those who actually know those kind of screenshots on Lemmings and Gorilla Bass, I just have to mention that Gorilla Bass is IBM's actually game. And moving forward, with the interest in maths and science, it was kind of quite a natural part that she applied to a maths and science class. So both kind of the junior high school and high school, she went to Olari School, which nowadays is called Otaniemen Lukio. She specialized in maths, but also had advanced kind of studies in physics and chemistry, which led actually after high school, she ended up in TKK, which is nowadays the School of Technology. Then she got the master's thesis place at IBM in 2007, still studying, and has been there ever since, nowadays as a practice lead. So you probably figured out, so that little kiddo girl is me. And you might think that, well, she really found her passion for tech at such a young age. But things are not always so black and white. So let's rewind a bit for the full story. As you can see from my outlook, I'm not kind of the kind of typical Finn. And my story began actually in 1979 and 1980, when my parents were among the first boat refugees in Finland. I got this lottery ticket, and I'm born in Finland. But besides that, my family started from scratch. So when my parents left from Vietnam to Malaysia refugee camp, they left everything. They left their family, their networks, everything they knew, and didn't know kind of when would they go back, and actually didn't know where they would end up to. But they came to Finland. And this, as being in the first batch of refugees, also meant that there wasn't anyone here to kind of coach them, to kind of introduce them to kind of Finnish culture from kind of own peer perspective. And for me, as the second-gen immigrant, I also didn't have role models in biz tech world or networks or getting summer jobs from my mom's or dad's friend from biz and tech side. So for me, actually, what I thought was more interesting and as it was visible in my network, was things on social services, humanitarian parts, translation work, teaching, and so forth. And I mentioned that I love Legos, but yeah, I also love dolls, Barbies, everything girly stuff that you could say. I loved maths, but also I loved languages. Those are kind of languages that I know. Some are kind of native, some are just basics, but still, there's kind of a huge interest on learning languages and kind of translating and communicating. And just a side note, so these are the human-to-human languages that I know. So there's also kind of the Java or something, but I haven't added those in here. So with this kind of high interest on different things, in languages and social humanity areas, especially in high school, I started a bit to lose the interest in maths and especially physics. So it felt to me that it was so theoretical. I didn't quite know always that how to apply it. So after high school, I actually had very many doors open in my mind. I thought of, should I go to University of Helsinki, work as translator or teacher, which actually my mom and dad were kind of doing in Finland. But my dad really much kind of encouraged me to go to Otaniemi. And I just kept thinking in my mind, like, what did those people do at TKK? And I also thought that it was kind of very male kind of environment maybe also. And is there actually any cool companies, well, in the early 2000s, than Nokia? So what actually was maybe more interesting for me was the School of Business. So I thought of kind of leveraging my international background, that maybe I could kind of use the languages, travel, work in Asian-related markets or something, but I was a bit lazy. So for me, having the tech background or kind of math science school, it was very convenient to just go to the tech path and to TKK. And I ended up choosing Telecom Management just because of Nokia, actually. And that was kind of the reason I got to TKK. And I must admit, for the first 2 years at Otaniemi, I again struggled a bit to find kind of the inspiration to study all the texting. In maths, there was kind of these big lectures where you could just kind of write down maybe 2 pages of some math equation and copy pasting what the professor was kind of writing on the board. And I didn't kind of find so much interest in it. I think coding was okay. There was kind of this problem solving part and something new, and you could also see a bit of results, what you do, and see it, how it works out. But eventually, after the 2 mandatory years of studies, I found the spark again. And it was kind of through my major and minor subject that I started to study. I found that there was the ability to study user-centered product development. And especially interesting were the courses where we mixed different disciplines. We had these courses that included School of Technology, School of Business, and School of Arts. Actually, the kind of the prototype of what Aalto University is nowadays. And on the business studies, I studied international business and strategy, also on work psychology. And I noticed that kind of combining all of this was the thing that actually where I could use my full potential, but where I also had the most interest. And luckily, at IBM, I actually get to work on these areas that I just mentioned. So within 14 years of career, of course, I've worked in different roles. At those dots that you see there, they resemble a bit of the roles I've had. I've done on the kind of a tech side, development work. I've also done on kind of design part, UX design part, thinking of customer journeys. I've also been a business and process consultant and thinking of the business cases, how to make things happen. And kind of in the center, in the intersection, I've worked as PM or Scrum Master to kind of really kind of put all the pieces together. And the things we actually think in our digital projects as IBM often is that even though IBM is a big tech company, it's actually the human problems that we solve. And we usually need to think that what do people want this? Is this a desirable thing that they want? Also, we need to think about whether it's feasible. Do we have the technology to do it? Can we make it actually happen? And the third element is also that, okay, people might want this. It's possible to be done, but actually, should we do it? Is there kind of business cases to give cost takeout or kind of more income to the company? Or is it something else that maybe on the employee kind of experience level? And all this kind of combination of intersection and insight is something that I really enjoy doing. Going forward, so I'm actually currently working in an IBM Garage Engagement, which combines these different aspects of it. And in these, we actually have very kind of empowered teams where we mix different skills of people to really kind of build things up. Because if you think of really solving a problem, if you just have tech people, you're kind of not seeing the full picture, or only design, or only business people. So we actually, in these phases, we really kind of combine the different skill sets together. The method we use within Garage is very iterative. And I think this is also similar to other companies, not just IBM, that we start with kind of small things, and then we kind of scale it up. And how we call it, it's co-create, co-execute, and cooperate. While in co-create phase, we usually need to think of what's the big idea we're trying to solve and frame the problem there. And while framing a problem, actually have to think of quite a variety of possibilities that are around there. So in this phase, we usually have different subject matter experts to really give the insight into the topic. Sometimes if we were in the industry, in IBM, we just need for the kind of some workshops, the really kind of deep knowledge on, let's say, energy industry or travel and transportation industry, and bringing those insights into kind of design phase and doing proper research, not only just on the market status, but also kind of researching on, as I mentioned before, on the kind of the what do the users need, kind of the pain points there to really examine that area. And once we've clarified what we want to solve and the vision on it, we start on building on the solution on it and validating and building MVPs and really testing out that does this actually really work. And then you kind of pull in more on the tech side people in and pull that together to really kind of build something up and going forward. And it could be kind of a combination of a team at that point that we have. We've included also kind of coders in or data scientists into the team, and giving kind of really kind of a team that works on the problem itself. Then kind of the third phase, like really ability to scale up it. You kind of start to even test more of it. And when you think of really launching a thing to a wider organization, you also kind of think to need the parts of how does it work on the organization and the change management aspects of it. So it's actually not a tech problem anymore, but it's also kind of making the change happen across the people. So in our projects, it's actually not just kind of a straightforward kind of line that we do, but it's kind of a big loop that we kind of iterate around. And I haven't kind of put all the titles in, which are below there, but there are kind of just a variety of roles we need throughout this full journey of things. And as I mentioned before, there are kind of data scientists in our teams. There are business designers, there are business consultants, change management consultants, developers, and on development side, you also have some people that are really, really specialized in one specific thing. And here, it's kind of what kind of the topic of today was, that you really need the kind of diverse set of skills, but of people, but also kind of diverse set of thinking of people and diverse kind of behaviors, because it's typical that in the first phase of co-create, where it's very super innovative, you might have people who kind of are able to see the bigger picture and are comfortable with change and kind of quick changes and movements, and maybe they don't need to be kind of really deep experts. But if you want to really put something really robust on the market, you don't want to like have a coder who's kind of first time doing something if you have a critical system in banking or in healthcare or whatever. So there's kind of a change of and kind of variety, diversity of parts that you need to look into in this area. In this, unfortunately, it was just yesterday evening that our marketing team launched a video of the project I'm currently working on. So my project that I'm working now is an IBM Garage for Sustainability, where we work on the topic on green e-mobility. So it actually kind of is what we've done is we've kind of used a method I just explained before on the garage, and really work with our client to think of making oil more sustainable. I think I'll share this kind of link of the video that our project have been working on my social media, so do check it out. But also, if you have time to really see what I just said coming into life, I really encourage you to join our Think conference, which is in 12th of May. So there's a free registration there, ibm.com/think. This case that I'm working on is one of those cases, but also there's, if you are more on a tech background or you're interested in cloud security, AI, and such, there are kind of very technical breakouts also there and hands-on labs that you can take a look on. You can tailor the agenda you want to have and on that page and find the sessions that really are interesting for you to attend. Yes, so I'm almost towards the end of my session, but I wanted to tell you that on the few topics, so kind of the key takeaways from this session is you really kind of don't need to be a master coder to understand value of codes, but I do encourage everyone to think of, if you're not kind of a coder already and more a business background sided, to learn some of the basics of the codes, because it could be that you're a business owner for marketing or sales, but digital transformation goes across the industries at the moment. And when you need to make investments, it's good that you also understand what investment you're making, and understanding a bit of the background and what's behind the scenes really helps you in making your decisions. Also, as I mentioned, and probably from this presentation, you noticed I don't kind of love the IT or kind of the technology itself, but you don't need to love it to work in IT. For me, what's important is actually the human side of it and the business outcomes of it. But I see technology as a huge enabler. Without it, we are not able to kind of achieve those kind of human outcomes that we want to do. I myself I'm quite a T-shape, and maybe on kind of also my kind of personal physique looks, I'm kind of a bit shorter, but kind of wide-handed. So I have a lot of kind of a wing breadth, and I don't go super kind of deeply into one, but there are kind of, I just want to remind you that there are different kind of T-shapes. You can be having a wide wing, but you can also really go deep into something. But I would still encourage to spread a bit of your wings and learn a bit. If you're kind of a super data scientist, it's still kind of good then to like think, okay, I do these models, but kind of maybe on the data visualization, how should this meaningful data models be coming into life, and like what is kind of then how to make those more meaningful, even though you make all this kind of algorithms inside, how do people actually use that model around. So really encourage you to kind of concentrate on what you love, be the shape you want to be, and remember to be you. So on that side, I really would like to thank this Mimit Goda and Milia and Rasmus for this super great opportunity to talk with you guys. And if you have any questions you'd like to pose, just contact me via LinkedIn, and we'll get in touch with you. Thank you.